Welcome to Corporate Ethics with Mr. Ideation Ayodele Adebayo. I am glad to come across your path today. You know what we do on this program? We make workplace rules relatable to everyone, to every player within the workplace. And you know, when we talk about the workplace here, we're not talking about the four walls of an office. We're talking about wherever you carry out your transactions, any level or any system, be it you are selling on the road, be it you are within the four walls of a very cozy, office, be it, as it may, if you have to walk, right on your farm, on the street, hawk, or even though I really don't like hawking, but nevertheless, if, that's where if that's the system, with which you exchange, value for value, all right, it is actually your workplace. And there are rules you need to understand so far, concerning that which you're doing. So we try as much as possible to, bring, these rules, to the table so that we can, work, accordingly in order for us to be able to achieve two main things. And of course, which are productivity and profitability. It is very important. It is very, very crucial. So that's why we look into, of course, what we look into every Monday morning. We look into insight, ideas. We look into topics. We look into ethics. We look into, things of, utmost importance, to your work, to your business, to what you do. And we try as much as possible to, relate, with it, in a most, simplest, form, especially as it also, relates or pertains, to you. So that's what we do on this program. I'm glad to be your regular host. Today, I'm going to be speaking on something very, very interesting, and which I wouldn't want you to miss at all. If it is possible for you to reach out to even your colleagues, at the workplace, share with them, let them also join you to listen to what I'm about to share today. It's one of the things that we look down on, but it is very, very powerful. And people who understand this, they make it a big deal, thing, within their work, within the world of work. I've benefited, from it, several times. I can't count several times I've benefited also, from what I'm about to say, today. And I don't want you to miss out, of it at all. So please sit right back and let's enjoy ourselves, together today as we go on this cruise. All right. But before I hit the ground running, let's go on this short break. Once we're back, then I'm going to introduce my topic and then we begin to enjoy ourselves. Please stay tuned. Once again, this is Corporate Ethics with Mr. Ideation Ayodele Adebayo. So today I'm going to be talking about the power of noticeable presence. The power of noticeable presence. This is very important. Now, one of the things I need you to understand is that it seems like as if the competition we have these days is skyrocketing. Almost every day we have, countless numbers of, competition, all around. So you realize that, every day in, day out, we have lots of people, imagine, within, the market space, who could do the same thing you are doing. Especially, and this is what I mean, they also possess the same technical competence or the same baseline competence, that you have. All right, so they could do the same thing you're doing, and you realize that, once you have more of people like that, who could do, the same thing that you can do, within the market space, it means that your indispensability would, of course, be questioned, because they will also, form, threat, to, your indispensability, at the workplace. So when we get to that level, what do we need to do? Also, in the same way, you realize also that we beginning to have, competition also when it comes to industries and what, each organization or business, has to offer. So in a situation where you realize that, almost every day we're having whether new, entry level, competition, or we're having, of course, refurbishing or renovated, competition within your industry. So when you begin to see things like that, what do you have to do? Number one, you don't have to fret. You don't have to feel threatened, all right? Even though it might be, of course, it might be the focus or the target of course, the new entry or the new, businesses, organizations, and of course, persons, coming up within your own area of, specialization, or within your own area of, baseline competence as well. So all you have to do is for you to sit down and then try as much as possible to work on some certain things which are very, very key and very important. Now, one of those things which are strategic, that you have to work around or work on is what I call your recognizability quotient. All right, the ability for people to be able to recognize, what you have to sell or what you do, the skill that you bring to the table, the ability for people to be able to recognize you, even in the midst of, crowd, in a crowded, industry, in a crowded, space or economy, in a crowded, organization. The ability for people to be able to recognize you and for who you are is very, very important. And so that's why it is important for us to look into, the topic that we're looking into, today, because if you are able to master, this area, you will realize that you will be able to pass this test of, recognizability. So which means that you are recognizable, when it comes to what your organization, does, what you do, when it comes to the value that, you offer, in the market space. It means that when people, think of the fact that they need, something in this area or in that area, your name, your person, your personality, comes, to their mind. And that's what we're talking about. And you don't just get there. All right. For you to be able to get there, you need to become more intentional about it. Building yourself. In other way, you might also want to say, okay, perhaps we're talking about, branding or personal branding, so to say as well. All right. But, like I told you, we bring, all those, factors, down in a way that you can, of course, relate with, as simple as possible. So that's why we're looking into, the power of noticeable presence. And I want to tell you something that it cannot be overstated, when it comes to business growth and career success. Because in this world, we're experiencing, of course, increase in competition, and then the need for you to stand out, of course, needs to become so paramount in your mind. So the ability of you being able to make, lasting impression, really, really matters, in this time. And so that's why it is important for you to pay attention to this. Now, a noticeable presence, can open doors of opportunities for you. And at the same time, also, it can also set, the stage, for growth and also for advancement, for you, whether you are an employer of labor or you are an employee in any organization. So it is important for you to understand, that noticeable presence is actually a big deal. Look at this. If noticeable presence can give you attention, if it can give you offers, if it can, of course, give you opportunity, if it can give you access, if it can give you, accolades and lots more, if it can place you to a level of, significance and relevance, within, your sphere in life, then it is important for you to take it and treat it as a cost. And you need to work around it. So which means that if you deserve or you desire attention, you desire access, at places that matters, if you at places that matter rather, if you desire recognition, if you desire, that you'll be able to have access to some kind of opportunities that others, might not, have access to, then you need to understand that you have to begin to treat, the need for noticeable, presence as urgent, as important, and as, of course, as a necessary, requirement for you to advance and to grow as far as your work is concerned. So when we want to look at this, then we will be forced to look into, of course, some, areas, or some forms with which we carry out, our work. So first and foremost, let's look at this. We need to understand that noticeable presence, will allow us to make a strong first impression, which is very key. So what does it mean? Okay, when we talk about what noticeable presence, what does it mean? It means the ability for you to be able to, from the word, make people to notice, your presence, your availability, for people to notice, your relevance, for people to notice, that you not only live, but you exist, via, your functionality, the functionality of your existence, which is very key, which is, of course, very, important. All right. So whether it is, some people prioritizes, this, they prioritizes, when it comes to job interview, so you see that when people want to go for job interview, they get, so dressed, well, well, I don't know for these days, because sometimes some people will show up at interviews and you'll be surprised because you would think maybe they were actually going for, something else anyway. I don't want to mention, some of those things here, but you realize that, to some people, averagely, so they feel that the only time when they have to, of course, work on that noticeable presence is when they are going for, job interview, or when they are going for a business meeting or a networking event. Yes, as much as, of course, that is good, it's okay, but we need to understand, that it is not just, limited, to that. All right. So anytime you want to leave an impact, a lasting impact, anytime you want to ensure that you make, meaningful, statements about yourself, about what you do, about what you offer, and about, of course, the things, the value that you can bring to the table, then noticeable presence can, of course, be a tool. Now, as much as possible, to some people, noticeable presence can be a lifestyle. That's why you see some people, just because they just want to step, out from maybe from their house or from their office to buy something, down the road, or to just, do something down there. You realize that, they will make sure that, of course, they adjust themselves, perhaps maybe look into the mirror, adjust, their hair, comb it, properly, make sure that, they look, nice, they look, so fine. And while some other persons will feel, why are you disturbing yourself? You just want to go, just down there, and you'll soon be back just in the next 20, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, thereabouts. Do you really need to, get to this level? Now, the reason is because the other guy had made noticeable presence a lifestyle, while the other one, of course, does not necessarily think it should be a lifestyle. All right. The other one might think it should be a tool. It should be something. It should be a strategy that I adjust myself into, once I have something, of course, in mind. But the other one feels that, no, every time I have the opportunity to, of course, represent myself, to people, and I am mindful of course, the way people notice me and the impression that I'm able to create, of course, in the minds, of people. But whichever one it is, my goal today is to make you understand that you can become much more intentional about your noticeable presence, all right, which is very, very important. All right, it is very, very, crucial. So, moreover, noticeable presence can significantly enhance, your personal and professional branding as well. You don't dress, in a way that will make people to question or query, who you are or what you say you do. It is important. So when you know definitely that all you have to do is within a formal organization, within a formal setting, definitely you know that your appearance, the way you present yourself, your presence. Now, I'm sure some people will say, okay, but that's going to be, money, blah, blah, blah. No, 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 no. It's not about money. It's all about, of course, you having the mind that you want to look, this way, and you want to make your look to make statements. And having said that, let me also quickly mention, because it seems like what I'm saying, quite a lot of people might be, narrowing it down, towards appearance alone, but it's actually, not so. When it comes to noticeable presence, it's all about, of course, your appearance. It's all about your communication. It's all about, the value that you offer. It's all about, your style. It's all about your posture. It's all about, what you do. For example, when you enter into, of course, like a formal setting, there's a way you have to sit. You don't just sit anyhow, all right? There's a way you sit that makes them know that you are actually, on fire. There's a way you sit that makes people know that you are confident. There's a way you sit that makes them know that you know what you're doing. There's a way you sit that make, people to know that you are targeted, in your pursuit. And some of these things we need to learn, we need to understand. Now, not only sitting, not only posture, the way you speak, all right, even your tone of voice. I have been through, meetings whereby, because I know that if I just enter in there, I know that, just entering in there is not what I want. I want to enter in such a way where I want people to notice me. So I understand, of course, the powers, that I have, available. So sometimes I use my voice, all right? So I knew that I didn't just have my voice because of broadcasting. I know that this voice also, and it has worked for me, several times, enter into an organization, then I come up with a voice, the way I speak, and I remember I was speaking somewhere and somebody actually, in a bank here, few days ago, and somebody approached me, said, your voice, of course, I felt, like I was being flattered anyway. He said, your voice, sounded like, the Big Brother, anchor, whatever. I said, oh, really? I had to, of course, deepen it, more. It was like, wow. I could see she was, swept off her feet, and she was really ready to attend to me, blah, blah. I said, no, I'm the one attending to you, blah, blah, blah. I was just looking. You understand what I'm trying to say? But what I'm saying is this, that there's a way you enter into a place. There's a way you talk. There's a way you speak. There's a way, your non-verbal cues. There's a way you look. There's a way you stand. There's a way you, all of these things are, intentional. You have to be more intentional about them because they speak, so well, about you. Now, I've been to speaking engagements where I have, most of my superior, if I begin to mention their names, they are popular brands, all right? But in a way or the other, I also had to speak there. But you know one thing, I knew I needed to do something that will make people to understand that someone is here, all right? Not like a subordinate or a lesser voice, to the, popular, voices that are there. So I had to come up with, one thing or the other, the way I speak, and intentional also, about, I think I've mentioned also sometimes before that the first time I went for an interview, I became, the one that had to interview every other person. And I kid you not. And the reason was because of my hair. All right. But I never knew, and they didn't tell me anything. I just realized that, the table turn. I thought maybe they were also, trying to, do all the interview techniques. But one thing, so eventually I got the job, and I was supposed to resume my job, the following Monday. And then I felt, okay, let me look, fresh and look, new, for my work. Then I went to barb my hair. So when I got there, my manager screamed. I was like, what's up? What happened, sir? He said, why did you cut your hair? I was like, my hair? It's my hair. I could cut it. He said, no. He said, you didn't know that I actually... He said, why did you think I made you interview every other person? He said, I love your outlook. I love the way you look. I love your appearance and all. So since that day, I understood that, of course, that the way you appear, it could be intentional. It could be targeted. It could be, something that you can, leverage on. All right, because like I'm speaking now, this same voice some people have, and they could cash in, in millions, because they are more intentional, right, with it, and they, of course, they are targeted, at, using this. No, so why do I have to mention this? Like I mentioned, the other time, is the fact that you need to understand that, you have to, wield, that presence, create a presence about yourself, such that will, because it's part of your marketing. All right, it's part of the marketing, so that when you get into a place, when you get into an organization, into an office, people are more intentional and they are more attentive to you. They want to speak to you, they want to talk to you, they want to engage you, because whether because of how you look, whether because of the clothes you're wearing, whether because of the way you're speaking, whether because of your fragrance. You entered in there, and they began to, of course, perceive nice smell, not the other way around. You understand what I mean? So all of these things, they are very, very important, and they are things that we need, to really pay attention to, because it's really, really, helps. It can, give you, because of that, you can get your contract, signed. Somebody might just feel like, I want to just do business with you, all because of that. And let me also talk about this aspect also, which is, of course, the aspect about value. What kind of value do you want to bring to the table? It is very important. You can create, a noticeable presence for yourself by the reason of the value, that you bring, to the table. All right. So the kind of solutions that you are able to bring, it's very, very important. Now, I have aside my public speaking stuffs, I have one other, business that I do. I don't advertise it on any social media, except for the one I just did, of course, recently. I don't talk about it, and the reason is, and I assure you that I make more money even within it, than from my public speaking. Because most of my clients are not even, of course, around here. They are from, of course, so I earn, in another currency, from there. And the reason is because the value I bring to the table there is such that is very rare. Before you can actually, get someone that would be able to bring such value on the table. Now, I'm not boasting now, but I'm talking to you, and I didn't just get there. I had to work on myself. I had to build, my capacity to such level whereby when anybody says, we want someone who could actually do this, do that. And so most of the time, so because I've done it, of course, for 1, 2, 3 persons. So they were the one that move around to talk to, some of their friends who wants to do something like that. Don't worry, I know a guy in Nigeria. So this is his contact. They contact you, and then you are able. So these are people that ordinarily you wouldn't even have access to them. There's no way you have access, to their phone. Your number can't be, on their phone. But because I'm doing something in a way which, of course, gives me a kind of a presence, within, their life and livelihood. So there's a need for me, of course, to constantly be there. So that's what we're talking about. So this year, make sure that you build a noticeable presence. Don't just enter anywhere anyhow. Don't go to work anyhow. Don't attend meetings anyhow. Don't just talk anyhow. Don't talk for talking's sake. All right. Talk, because you want to create, a presence, and creating a presence in a positive way, in a positive manner, such that could, of course, help, build, what you're trying to achieve. And finally, on that note, it is important for you to, the starting points, which, of course, I want to talk about, just in a nutshell, is the fact that, number one, you need to believe in yourself. A lot of people don't believe in themselves. Now, people believe in what people say about them. But I'm challenging you that it is important for you to believe in yourself, believe in your person, believe in your capacity. Yes, because everyone we celebrate today still have their own weakness in a way or the other. So you might have weaknesses, you might have a weakness in that area. But one thing is important, is that you have to, first of all, still believe so much in yourself. Now, once you believe in yourself, because that will be the starting point, to you, because if you can't accept yourself, then there's no way you want to, of course, convince others to accept you. And that is very, very important. So believe in yourself, accept yourself for who you are. Now, if there are any areas where you need to develop yourself further, please go ahead and develop yourself further, but accept yourself, all right, the way you are. Because if you don't accept yourself, there's no way you will convince others, to accept you. So it means that even when you appear before others, you will be putting yourself down, all right, and yet you want them to, of course, put you up. It doesn't work, that way. I believe these few things, will help you to, of course, build and create, a noticeable presence as far as your work is concerned. Let's go on this short break. Once I'm back, I'm going to recommend a book for you this week that you need to read, and then I'll wrap up. Once again, you're welcome to Corporate Ethics with Mr. Ideation Ayodele Adebayo. All right, so today, my book recommendation for this week is The Road to Recognition. The Road to Recognition is a book written by Seth Price and Barry Feldman. It's a very powerful book, and I believe that if you're able to read this, now you will understand, how to take ownership, of yourself. All right, you need to take ownership of yourself, of who you are, because you own a brand, all right, and the name of that brand is you, and you must take ownership of that brand so that you can earn recognition as an expert in your field. It is very important. I don't want to go, of course, too much into that book, but this is a book you need to lay your hands on, read it. It will help you, all right, to build, some, critical strategies that will help you, to, wield, your recognition, level, as far as, life, work, is concerned. So on this note today, I'm going to be wrapping it up. I want to sincerely appreciate you for joining me today. It's been a great time, because if you're not here, I won't be here. But because you are here, I'm here. And thank you for making our time. I believe you've learned one or two things today, and I want to beg you, please go back and ensure that you, put this, into, practice, all right? Because I used to say the goal of knowledge is not storage. The goal of knowledge is applicability. How you are able to apply, some of those things, it matters. So target yourself and plan that, okay, tomorrow I'm not just going to appear anyhow. I will appear in such a way whereby the moment you step out from your house, people will see you, they will notice you, they will nod their head, they will give you thumbs up. People will say, wow, I like what you're wearing, I like your shirt, I like your this, I like your that, I like your hair, I like the way you speak. And if you realize one thing, noticeable presence will also, help you to become so healthy. It is very important. It will also, increase your wellness and your well-being in life, and also, in your business. Till next episode, when I'll come across your path with another interesting topic, please make sure that you work on your noticeable presence. It goes a long way. There's a prize, that you can get, at the end of the day when you work on that. Thank you. Stay blessed. Bye for now.